בעזרת השם, בפרק י"א, פסוק א'.
פרק י'. אוקיי.
ויהי כל הארץ שפה אחת, and the whole earth was one language, ודברים אחדים, and a common purpose. That's just דברים אחדים, they did the same thing. Just read a few psukim because, yeah. ויבן עושה מקדם, and when they came from the east, migrated from the, וימצאו בקעה בארץ שנער, וישבו שם. They found a valley in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. ויאמרו איש אל רעהו, they said one another, הבה נלבנה לבנים, let's make bricks, ונשרפה לשרפה, and let's burn them in fire to consolidate them. ותהי להם הלבנה לאבן, and now the brick became a stone. והחמר היה להם לחומר. And the חמר was for them mortar. ויאמרו, they said, הבה נבנה לנו עיר ומגדל, let's build for ourselves a city and a tower, וראשו בשמיים, and its top should go in the sky. ונעשה לנו שם, we will make a name for ourselves, פן נפוץ על פני כל הארץ, so that we don't disperse across the whole earth. וירד אדוני לראות את העיר ואת המגדל, Hashem came down to see the city and the tower, אשר בנו בני אדם, that men have built. ויאמר אדוני, הן עם אחד, there is one people, ושפה אחת and one language, לכולם, for everybody. וזה החילם לעשות, right? And this is what got them to do, to build this. ועתה לא ייבצר מהם, and now nothing can stop them. כל אשר יעזמו לעשות, for whatever they want to accomplish, and they cannot stop, nobody can stop them from accomplish whatever they want. אבל נרדה ונבלה שם שפתם, let's go down and mix and confuse their language. אשר לא ישמעו איש שפת רעהו, so that one cannot understand the language of the other. ויפץ אדוני אותם משם על פני כל הארץ, השם dispersed them across all earth, ויחדלו לבנות העיר, yes, and they ended up not building the city. על כן קרא שמה בבל, that's why the city is called בבל, כי שם בלל אדוני שפת כל הארץ, because there Hashem mixed, confused the language that was spoken all over earth, ומשם מפיצם אדוני, from there הקדוש ברוך הוא scattered them, על פני כל הארץ, from all earth. אוקיי, לשים הדור הרחם הקדוש ברוך הוא. ויהי כל הארץ שפה אחת. יש לתת לב לטור בעניין דור הפלגה. We need to investigate and learn and explore the story of the דור הפלגה. מהי דעתם? What was their intention? לבנות העיר והמגדל, to build a city and a tower. שאם טעמם הוא בפרט מפרטי הכפירה, because if you're going to tell me that they were kofir and their motivation was to be kofir, to reject Hashem, לא נודע אופן הכפירה. The Torah doesn't stipulate what was the actual kfira. What did they do wrong? גם לא היה השם מספיק להענישם בהפיץ אותם לבד. And if they were kofir, then what type of punishment is that? To just scatter them across the earth. Right? You need to punish them even more. ועוד צריך לדעת, אומרו, לא ייבצר מהם. Right? What does it mean that you cannot stop them? כי חס ושלום כמעט יבוא הטועה לטעות בזה. It can be confusing. A person reads this, משמע that what? הקדוש ברוך הוא doesn't have the ability to stop humanity.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? לא ייבצר מהם. ועוד, מהי כוונת הכתוב שכתב לנו? עניין בניין העיר בפרטים המגונים. Right? Also, what's the how is the construction of the city the bad deed that they did, right? Well, how is that פחת מגונה? ועלו אמרו רבותינו ז"ל, and the contrary. חכמים say כי מרצון השם היה שיתעסקו בבניין העולם. Right? Hashem told Noach, you have to rebuild the earth. So the opposite. It's a mitzvah to go and build cities. So how is that דבר מגונה? טוב. ואפשר. Maybe you can say. כי להיות שכאשר ברא הקדוש ברוך הוא עולמו, when הקדוש ברוך הוא created his world, בראו שיש שליש יישוב ושליש מדבר ושליש מים. הקדוש ברוך הוא created the world. Yeah, the intention was that a third should be populated with habitation, a third should be desert, and another third is water. Right? That's כדור הארץ. And he says, ותמצא הן היום, you can see today, כמה מקומות של יישוב. You can see that there's a lot of places, a lot of cities, yeah, שאם תסמוך אותם אחת אל אחת, but if you take all of them from across the globe and all put them together, לא יהיה אפילו חלק ממאה בשליש יישוב הנזכר. It's not 1% of the third of the יישוב that's intended.
One check.
That's it at the time. Okay, one second. ויהיה הכל, okay. כן. ויהיה הכל מדבר. So if that's the case, the rest of the land that's supposed to be יישוב is considered midbar, is considered desert, right? So now you have 5/3, right? That is midbar, okay? 1/3, not even 5/3, but it says 1% of a third, right? So you have almost 5.99 out of 6 that is midbar, and 0.1 that is or 0.2, sorry, that is yishuv. That's at his time. Yes. So what can you say? אלא להיות שהעיירות והכרכים בין עיר חלק חרב, since between each city there is open space, ובני העולם עוברים ושבים מזו לזו, and it's routes, right? It's roads that connects city to city. בזה יחשב הכל בין העיירות. So all this infrastructure is still considered part of the יישוב, בין מה שביניהם יישוב, right? So, right, all the infrastructure of the roads, etc. is part of the יישוב, ובצירוף הכל תמצא שליש יישוב. So you see that a third of the planet, if you can consider and take into account all the infrastructure, it's a third of the dry land. ולזה נאמר, and that's what the pasuk says, כל הארץ שפה אחת ודברים אחדים. Right? The whole world all earth was one language and one purpose. רצו שיהיו כולם מקובצים במקום אחד. The humanity wanted to all be living in one location only. ולא יתפזרו ענה וענה. Nobody should scatter. ושיהיה מקום אחד, יישוב דווקא. There should be only one location for one habitation. ולזה בנו העיר להם. That was the purpose of them building the city. פירוש, עיר אחת לכולם. שנייה. that's what he says. ויאמרו הבה נבנה לנו עיר ומגדל. עיר אחת ומגדל אחד. Right? לא עיירות. עיר אחת. That's where he learns it from. Okay. ולזה בנו העיר אחת לכולם. ולחששת שמא יתפזרו באורך העולם. And maybe they were worried that maybe, people will scatter across the planet. וילך אחד מהם אנה ואנה, and maybe it was people go here, people go there, עשו המגדל. That's what they built the tower, right? להיות להם לסימן, so that it's a symbol, it's a sign, a point of reference. שזהו מקומם, that this is the makom of Yishuv, this is the where humanity should cohabitate. אשר נקרא שמם עליו, and they will give their name on it, right? That's the habitation. וגם להכיר המקום מרחוק. And you can also, find your way from far if you by seeing that tower. אשר יש שם, which will be in the city, ובו יבוא לאות המגדל, right? And then when you need to get back, find your way, you see the migdal, and yeah, that's your compass, that's your way of getting home. וזהו אומרו, that's why the pasuk says, פן נפוץ על פני כל הארץ, right? Why are we building a city? Because we're scared that we're going to scatter. שלא רצו להיותם נבזרים וחלים זער שם וזער שם, right? They didn't want to spread out and a bit here, a bit there. ולזה, it's like the בורש חליפה, yes. ולזה אמר השם, כי הדבר הזה איננו נכון בעיניו. השם said, what's happening is not good. Why? והוא דבר שיכולים להשיגו להיותם בעלי בחירה. But that's, on one end, yes, humanity has בחירה. Right? They can choose to build that. And לכאורה, there's nothing wrong.
Wrong with it.
כן? ורצון, כן. בעלי בחירה ורצון. They have the will, they have the choice. במעשה הגשמי, right? In the world of, the worldly matter. They can do whatever you want. ולזה גזר אומר להפר עצתם ולבלול שפתם. That's what הקדוש ברוך הוא says, I need to interfere indirectly and confuse them. לבלבל שפתם. And how am I going to do that? By changing the way of communication, the language. שאז בהכרח יהיו נפרדים, and by default, now that they cannot communicate, they will start scattering. וכל אחד יבקש לו מקום. Everybody will go in their own way. וזהו שאמר הכתוב, and that's what the pasuk says, ומשם יפיצם השם על פני כל הארץ. השם scattered them across all the planet. Right? וזהו עד נאמן לפירושנו. It says the fact that הקדוש ברוך הוא scattered them all over the earth, right, is a aid, is a support to his פירוש. That what was כוונת השם? שיהיו ממלאים כל העולם. Why did הקדוש ברוך הוא do that? Not to punish them, but so that they can actually, yes, populate a third of the planet. ובזה נעשה שליש העולם יישוב, and that's how the land was populated, a third of the planet was populated. לסיבה נודעת לו יתברך שמו. And why? That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Yes? What is... What?
So, before Doa Flaga, there were...
Everything was destroyed. Don't forget.
I know, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, right? There's angels for every nation, right?
That's before, that's, no.
When were those angels created? Before Doa Flaga?
זה לא קשור. Yes, it was created before.
Because right now, it seems like there's 70
nations
that are created now, no?
סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. They were introduced later. But the Malachim were created before. They were just introduced later.
Okay.
But can you ask ChatGPT what is the surface of the water? No, of the water. Is it a third of the planet?
The Earth, 71% is covered by water.
So that means two-thirds.
So basically, yeah,
a little bit more than two-thirds is water. Yeah. That means that a third of the planet was sunk. Because according to the Torah, yes, you have a third water and two-thirds earth and dry land. Half of the dry land is midbar, and half of the dry land is yishuv, right? So, and what is the yishuv, the percentage of a population? Yeah,
very little. It says here that it says that roughly 5 to 10% of the earth land is occupied by human settlement, agriculture, infrastructure, and developed landscape. There that is truly urbanized, city, towns, roads, buildings, is about 1 to 3% of the earth's land area.
But that's including water, though.
No. Yeah, including water.
So so 1 second. So if you tell me it's 10%, they said?
It's 5 to 10% of the land.
Let's say 10% of the land of the earth.
It says of the land, but hold on a second.
Ah,
Let me find out. Is it 5 to 10% of the land or 5 to 10% of the
surface
Earth's
of the earth.
surface? Land area. So right now, 71% of the land is of the surface is ocean, 29% is land. So basically, Earth totals 5% of the land,
So
so one and a half to
3%,
3%,
3% of
one and a half to three
of the
percent of the
planet.
surface is
Okay. So one
populated.
second. So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh is right.
Why? What did he
Because
say?
he said at his time, yes, at this time, yes, he said not even 1% of the land, yes, is
The
covered by
surface.
is of the surface, no, of the land as humanity. At his time.
Yeah.
It grew eventually, right? Of a day that it grew. In 250
Right.
years, population grew. So it went from 1% to 3%, which is pretty incredible. How did the Or
The
HaChaim HaKadosh?
urbanized area, right? The urbanized area, it says,
Yeah,
are about 0.3 to 0.9 if you
yeah.
really look at what's urbanized.
Okay, so that's exactly what the Or HaChaim HaKadosh was, which is pretty incredible. Yes, he didn't have a satellite and didn't have ChatGPT. He was sitting in Morocco in city of Saleh. Okay?
He had ChatGPT. The Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's his
That's
ChatGPT better.
not
That's the real
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT,
That's
no?
not ChatGPT. That's Chat Havaya.
Yeah.
We should make one that's called Chat Havaya.
Yeah.
So anyway, but also what we learn from here also is that according al Pi Torah, if 70% is water, that means that 30% of the land of the earth sunk. It was of the dry land sunk over time.
Did it sink?
Well, it has to be because if you have a third water and two-third two-third land, and today you have two-third a little bit more than two-thirds water and one-third land. That means one-third sunk.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, which explains why so you find some civilizations under the water. Yes, remains, etc. And it makes sense because with time the Earth became warmer and warmer.
Mhm.
Yes, and the glaciers melted, and with time it sunk. So there is a third of the planet of the land that lechaura pshat pashut, yeah, that disappeared in the ocean.
You know who writes a great book about this is Jonathan Sachs. He has a book about basically reconciling science with the Torah,
Ah,
which I
yeah.
haven't read. I started reading, but to that effect, I picked up a book that Judah's reading, Encyclopedia of the World, right? And you look at that, and this is 50 billion years old, and this is this, and this is this. And you look at it's basically of every single thing, how this works and how that works. And you say, okay, so you're telling me that you think that all this stuff was created by it's
Random,
so
random,
sophisticated.
random, random.
And you think it just all created itself?
Yeah.
Like without a program, without an architect, it's when you look at it, that has two faces there. The sophistication of the world for somebody that thinks, oh, there was just a big bang and just everything evolved. But you look at the complexity of how things were created, there's no way that things created themselves. And that's I think the where people get very confused. But anyway,
כן.
we should find the Jonathan Sachs book.
ויש בזה סוד, כידוע ליודעכם, there is a secret, על פי הסוד, why there is a third יישוב, or a third מדבר, or a third מים, which we're not going to go into, וכמעט יהיה דומה למקצץ בנטיעות. So by behaving the way they did and saying, you know what, we're just going to all live in one area, it's like they messed up the whole blueprint of creation. That's like like cut the roots of it's disconnect the plan of Hakadosh Baruch Hu of creation, from the creation itself. ומפנים השפעה ממקום למקום. And they're shifting, right? They're shifting the hashpah, the abundance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu from one place to another. Then from the general to a third of the planet, and they want to shift it in one location, right? So, and that is Mekat says Benitiot. That's called cutting. It means disconnected the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the purpose of creation and the actual creation. ורבותינו ז"ל דרשו, um, just to give you, just we're impacting the world on three levels: nefesh, ruach, neshama. Nefesh, which is body, which is midbar. כן? רוח, מים, כן? נשמה, אדם. Yes? So that basically through the koach Adam, yes, by Adam being mefutzal, right, on a third of the planet. So basically, it's mashpia, yes, on the bchina of the neshama, right? So meaning the purpose is that the neshama grows, yes, into its and takes place in the build out of the Adam, of the blueprint of Adam. But what did they want? They wanted to narrow down. They wanted to narrow down the exposure of the neshama, right, into one location. What does it mean, one location? יש כמה בחינות that they wanted Adam to be במלכות שבמלכות, in the lowest level possible of earth, so that the hashpa'ah of the neshama should be minimal, just enough to be mechaye the ruach, but nothing else. And let the ruach be, let the ruach, the water be, and let the nefesh be. That was the intention at Kabbalah. Yes, that's why they didn't want to spread out of men. They didn't have a problem with the water. They didn't have a problem with the nefesh, with midbar. Yes, because that's what was megashem et abriya. What they didn't want is they didn't want the Adam, right? The Adam to spread, meaning the neshama to grow. Yeah. At Kabbalah, I'm giving you just
Why
what
didn't they want the neshama to grow?
because if the neshama grows, then that's it. Then you again, there's the Hashpah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's the Ruach Hashem, etc., etc. Okay? They wanted to be in control. They wanted to keep the control. How do you keep the control of the body? How do you keep your own bechira? By minimizing, yes, the influence of the neshama.
I would think that if everybody's concentrated in one place, you have a much more focused koach.
Exactly. You have
You
to,
have a
on
much more
what?
focused
Not on
connection
the,
of
not on
okay.
yes.
Why you can't say
But
that there's more
it's
connection if with
you're
the
mixing two
couple.
things. You're mixing two things.
Yeah.
You're mixing the pirush of the Orach HaKadosh, and what the Orach HaKadosh writes when he says v'yesh bazeh sod kayadua. The sod is the sod of the nefesh ruach neshama, which is midbar ma'im adam. Okay, and once you start, you know, focusing or playing around with the seder advarim, you're moving shefa from one location to another, meaning from one sfira to another. Yes, you're moving the focus from one pipeline to another, and that's called kotzes banitiot. So that's it. Yes, it's true that you build a concentration event which is much stronger as people, but what you're doing is that you're not spreading on the planet. Yes, the purpose of people. Yeah, the whole purpose of creation is le'ovda u'shoma, right? Peru uvu mil'u et haaretz. So that what? So that you can go and be anywhere around the globe, yes, or at least a third the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, and ma'aleh et hanitzosot, and elevating the nitzosot, and doing a tikkun of that makom. If you keep everything in a local place, yes, it's self-centered. It's centered over you, not over the purpose of humanity in creation.
But how does that? Okay, so two questions. That's like the formula of Chabad, right? Exactly that what you just said. But how do you reconcile that with the fact that we should all be going to Israel?
I don't know. That was you have to ask.
No,
So,
no, I'm asking a question.
I don't know the question.
You just told me that no, no, Mechila.
There's a difference between the humanity and Am Israel. Again, you're confusing. Yes. Now, Peru, Vu, Milut, Haaretz, that's humanity. Am Israel it has to be in Eretz Israel. But which is part of the globe. Yes.
But you just said that we need to be in it. Hold on.
That's the purpose of
I got it. If you
humanity.
said that if the person of humanity, but where's the humanity come in? Humanity doesn't have, maybe I don't know. Humanity doesn't bring up the nitzutzot, right? What did they? There's no there.
בטח, זין מצוות בני נוח,
All
when
right.
they make the 7 מצוות of בני נוח, they elevate the בריאה. They elevate the בריאה. Yes. They don't elevate the way we do, okay? Because of what we've received with the Torah
Just
Kedosha and the
Hashem cares
Avodat
about
Hashem.
the
But
guy
that's
that's sitting in
later.
Zimbabwe. That's
What? What?
Hashem cares about the guy that's sitting in Zimbabwe, the Muslim guy in Zimbabwe that doesn't
If the person does the Shiva Mitzvah Ben Noach, then yes, and if not, no. That was a purpose. I'm giving you a clue without this is 40,000 feet high. It's not something
it's a fundamental question.
there's no fundamental. What fundamental?
Does Hashem care about
Depends who you ask.
humanity?
According to the Rambam, yes. According to the Mekubalim, no. Depends who you ask. That's yeah. טוב, בואו נמשיך. פסוק למד. תורה גוזון, התגלגלות העניינים, אלה תולדות שם, אצטרה. ותהי שרי.
Missing a lot of stuff here. He jumped on a lot of stuff. Interesting.
What?
He jumped on a lot of stuff, but he didn't explain. I'm surprised, but
What?
like he didn't explain the whole, thing with the demise of Noach and his kids.
Yeah, he didn't touch it. Okay.
Some interesting items here that he missed. That missed, but he purposely didn't obviously explain. But okay,
Don't forget, in his Akdama, he wrote his Pirush Ben Leben. Remember? Because of all the Ticha, he used to be gozel a little bit of time so that he can sit and write his Pirush. Okay. ותהי שרי עקרה, אין לה ולד. Right? Sarah was infertile. She didn't have children. The obvious question is, צריך לדעת למה הוא צריך לומר אין לה ולד. If you tell me she's עקרה, then ודאי she doesn't have blood, right?
Well, Beam had the whole answer on this one.
רבותינו ז"ל אמרו, העילונית הייתה. Okay? She was missing organs, okay, to bear children. שנאמר אין לה ולד. And that's what you mean, אין לה ולד. Right? So Chazal learned, what does it mean, אין לה ולד? That she was העילונית. בסדר? אוקיי. ונראה לפרש. על דרך מה שאמרו. Now he wants to explain that Gemara of Chazal. Now again, now you're going to see how from words, העילונית הייתה שנאמר אין לה ולד, right? So the Orach HaKadosh has a kushiyah, he doesn't understand. How did Chachamim learn that that from the word she doesn't have a child, אין לה ולד, she was עילונית. Okay? ונראה לפרש על דרך מה שאמרו. וזה לשונם. He wants to explain based on
what they said.
וזה לשונם, שם א' ב'.
יבמות, no?
No, hold on.
Yeah, because it's talking about Yevamot. Yevamot, you see it's
No, but I know. But there's a Taut Sofer here. You see Sham Aleph Bet? It's not Sham, it cannot be Aleph Bet. There's no Daf Aleph in the Gemara. Sham Samech Dalet Aleph Vebet. That's what he wants to say. Daf Samech Dalet Amud Aleph and Amud Bet. Okay. וזה לשונם. Okay. אמר רבי עמי. הרבי עמי says, אברהם ושרה טומטומים היו. Right. Rabbi Ami says there were tumtumim. Tumtum is like there's a membrane, okay, that stopped that basically separates the that doesn't allow the sex to be revealed. Okay, it's like there's a skin. Yes, the child is born, and you don't know if it's a boy or if it's a girl because the skin, the organ didn't come out.
It's a real thing?
Yeah, better until today. Ask your friend Bobby. Uh, טומטומים היו, שנאמר, הביטו אל צור חוצבתם, look at the צור, right, the rock, right, that you were formed from, ומחכבת בור נוקבכם, and from the depth of the pit that you came out from. That's the pasuk in Yeshaya. And you look at that, upiresh Rashi, okay? Then this is referring to the tzur, the rock that you were shaped out from, it's Abraham, and the pit that you came out from, the depth of the pit that you came out from, is Sarah. Rashi says, chutz avchem, that you were made from, naasa lahem zachut. Abraham, right? The male organs of Abraham came out. Nukartem, right, from which you were drawn out from, meaning from the pit. Shenasa lahem nakvut. That Sarah was her female organs were revealed. So what do you mean? That means they both had organs, but they were not revealed. Avram Avram's organ was revealed, and Esther and Sarah's organ were revealed. So and that's the concept of tumtum, is that they have an organ, but the organ is hidden by that skin. ואמרו עוד שם, and the Gemara says there, נשא אדם אישה, if a man marries a woman, ושהה עמה 10 שנים, and he stays with her married 10 years, ולא ילדה, and she didn't bear children, יוציא, he's allowed to divorce her. וייתן כתובה, and he gives her the כתובה. זכר לדבר, even though there's no מקור, there's no מפורש, there's no הלכה, pasuk מפורש in the Torah about that, but we have a pasuk that refers to it. מקץ 10 שנים לשבט אברהם בארץ ישראל, בארץ כנען. Abraham was sitting 10 years in Eretz Canaan. He didn't have any children. And then Sarah came to him and said, you know what, take Hagar. Right? So we learn from it that after, if a married couple live 10 years together and they cannot have children, there's an option for the husband to say, listen, getting a divorce, I need to bring children.
Obligation.
Not an obligation. No, an obligation itself. Always have those questions. It's an obligation mitzvah, the mitzvah of peru urvu. Yes, but you can decide to stay married. You can decide to stay married. Okay? It's not you're not obligated to get a divorce, but you're not making the mitzvah of peru urvu. So the Gemara says, why do you learn that you're allowed to divorce after 10 years from Abraham? Learn from Yitzhak that what? They said 20 years and he didn't get divorced. Right? He got married at the age of 40 with Rivka, and Yaakov and Esav were born when he was 60.
Okay.
So the Gemara says, why do you go and learn from Abraham that you can divorce after 10? Learn from Yitzhak that you don't get divorced, after even 20 years. So the Gemara says, Yitzhak was infertile. So the Gemara says, so what? Abraham also was infertile. Right? So why do you come and teach me from meaning like this? Do you understand? Yitzhak couldn't get a divorce because it wasn't Rivka's problem. It was his problem, right? So that's why he couldn't get divorced, right? It's interesting that the Gemara assumes that Yitzhak knew that he was infertile.
Okay.
You understand? It's not so simple to know that a person is infertile. Today, yes, you go to the doctor and they tell you there's no count, or you count on 0. But that's not. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Avraham also was infertile. So the Gemara answers, right? So that the pasuk of Yitzhak, right? You cannot use it to learn that what you stay in 20 years because we use it for something else. Okay? There's another limud from the pasuk of Yitzhak. Therefore, you cannot learn from Yitzhak that you have to stay married 20 years, and then you have to go back to the pasuk of Abraham, which doesn't have any limud, and from there you can learn that after 10 years you get a divorce.
So you can only have one limud from each pasuk?
10. Yes. וכתבו התוספות. כתבו התוספות. The עקור, what does it mean עקור to be infertile? What does it mean? העקור שאמר כאן הוא טומטום. שאמר רבי עמי. עקור to be infertile, it's not that there's no organs. There's an organ, but it's a tumtum, that there's this membrane that stops the body. Interesting. Avraham had it, and Yitzchak, his son, had it. They were both born without, the organ out. So what do they do when they see that? They cut the skin, yes, and then the organ comes out. והגם שמן הסתם לא נשא עד שנקרא, and it's, we can assume that when they got married, yes, the organs came out. Why? Because you cannot marry somebody that you don't know if he's a man or he's a woman. So it's for sure that the surgeon or whoever was there at the time of Abraham and Sarah and Yitzchak, yes, they cut the skin and allowed the organ to come out, right? And so that's what happened. So there was physical organ.
So what's the issue? So I mean,
listen.
Yeah.
Listen. Aliba de Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, parech she'amar tumtum shenikra en molit. It's still according to Rabbi Yehuda. Yes. He says tumtum, even though now the organs are revealed after you cut the membrane, the skin, but tumtum cannot bear children. He's sterile. Yeah. Okay, you see the organ, but he's sterile, meaning he has the organ, he cannot produce. The odd. So now, so that's akar. That's what it means to be akar. Okay. The odd. Afilu leRabanan. Tosfot says even according to Rabbanan, yes, that say that the tumtum can bring children. Lo shchiach sheyolid. It's almost impossible. Yes, it's very rare that the tumtum will have children. It's not impossible. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's impossible. According to Chachamim, it's not impossible, but it's very, very rare. That's the Tosfot, right? So according to according to the Baalei Tosfot, the Gemara in Yevamot learns that Abraham was a tumtum, right?
Yeah.
Okay. והנה לדברי התוספות הוא הדין שגם שרה נקראה קודם לשנישאת. So if now going back to Rabbi Ami said Avraham and Sarah were both tumtumim. So that means that even Sarah had the same issue where she had her skin, hiding her organ. They cut the skin, her organ came out. But also, according to Rabbi Yehuda, for sure she cannot bear children. And according to Chachamim, the chances are very, very, very slight. ולפי זה. Now, based on these Gemarot, התיישב הכתוב על נכון. Now we can understand the pasuk. Now going back to the pasuk, כן? ההכרה אין לה ולד. כי להיות שהיו שניהם טומטומים ונקראו, since they were both. Now, with all this, he's going to explain to you what Chachamim means when they said Ailonit, הייתה שלמה אין לה ולד. Okay, so he's going to explain the pasuk, and he's going to explain the drasha of the pasuk. Okay?
Yeah.
כי להיות שהיו שניהם טומטומים, the Gemara told us that they were both טומטום, ונקראו, and then they cut the skin and their organ came out. ולדעת רבי יהודה אינם יולדים, and according to רבי יהודה it's clear that טומטומים cannot give birth. חש הכתוב, the pasuk was sensitive, שיבין השומע and scared that maybe not that scared, he wanted the שומע, the person that learns the pasuk to understand, כי מה שאמר, ותהי שרה akara. Like when the pasuk says that she was akara, ulesa שהייתה טומטומת, right? It's not that stam she didn't get. She was a tumtum. That's sarai akara. והכוונה היא, and what it's coming to tell us, שכיוון שהייתה טומטומת, מצד זה הוא שמחוזקת בעקרות, right? If she's טומטום, she cannot bear children. Okay. אשר על כן גילה ואמר אין לה ולד. Right? So that what? That the fact that after she got married, yes, she was married for 10 years. פירוש נבדקה על ידי זיקה, right? She had intercourse with Avraham. אחר שנקראה, after her organs came out, ולא ילדה לאברהם. זהו אומרו, אין לה ולד. דהיינו, we know that she was a tumtum, yes? And it was confirmed, yes, that she couldn't have children because she was a tumtum, because she was married for 10 years and nothing, and she didn't bear any children.
Okay.
That's the pshat. עוד נראה, okay, so that's the pshat that he wants to have. כי לא אמר רבי יהודה טומטום, שנקרא אינו מוליד. Also, you can say that when Rabbi Yehuda said that the tumtum cannot give birth, that Ela Zachar, that's referring to a tumtum male. אבל הנקבה לא, the tumtum nekeva, right? We don't say that the tumtum nekeva, ושכיח הוא שתלד, right? She may actually give birth. ולפי זה שיעור הכתוב, כך הוא. So that's, according to that, this is how you're going to learn. ותהי שרי עקרה. שרי was עקרה ולא תאמר שהעקרות שאומר הכתוב ולצד שהייתה טומטומת כאברהם. Now you cannot tell me that she was עקרה because she was a טומטומת. Why? Because טומטום, according to רבי יהודה, can give, a woman can, a טומטום can bear children. לא כן הוא. כי הטומטום אינו סיבת מניעתה ולידה. Right? Because the fact she was טומטום doesn't mean that she cannot give birth a child. Because that's only אלא באיש ולא באישה. A טומטום איש cannot give birth, but not a טומטום אישה, a טומטום אישה can give birth. וכאן העקרות הוא שלא ילדה. So why was she עקרה? Because she actually wasn't bearing children. ואומרו אין לה ולד. To tell you that has nothing to do with the טומטום. There was another issue that she was עקרה. ולדברי האומר העילונית הייתה. According to what we said earlier, right? The גמרא, העילונית הייתה. התפרש הכתוב על זה הדרך. So now a third פירוש, right? So now according to the Gemara in Yevamot, that says העילונית הייתה. ותהי שרי עקרה. What does it mean שרי was עקרה? פירוש נמצאת שהיא עקרה. We found out ותהי עקרה, it was revealed. Nobody knew that she was עקרה. It was revealed she was עקרה. והכוונה היא, פירוש שימצא בה דבר שלא היה ניכר בה מקודם. כן? The Torah is coming to tell you, to reveal us something that wasn't known before. So what do you learn from this? כי מלבד היותה טומטומת, even though she was a טומטום, nobody disagrees that she was a טומטום, right? Everybody agrees she was a טומטום. ונקראה, and her organ came out, הוא קרבה היותה עקרה. We knew that what? That she's עקרה. שאם לא הייתה טומטומת, לא יוזק לומר ותהי הוויה חדשה. If it wasn't because of the tumtum, then you wouldn't say something new happened. You wouldn't know that. שזה קודם שנעשה היה ידוע, אלא שנבדקה ונמצא שלא ילדה. I know that she was tumtumet because when she got married, it came out. Right? So that was known. So you cannot tell me that ותהי, that she was ותהי הכרה, that it's a חידוש. Okay, about the fact that she was a tumtum. Because we all already knew she was a tumtum. So what's the חידוש of ותהי הכרה?
But she couldn't have kids.
One second. אבל what's the חידוש? ומעתה, למה הוא צריך לומר אין לה ולד? So what do I need to know אין לה ולד? ודאי לומר שהייתה עילונית. Besides the fact she was a טומטומת, yes, there was another issue.
She was missing an
She was
organ.
yes, she was missing organs inside. טוב. נעמוד כאן. בסדר.